an art form that, when combined with other creative mediums such as film and photography, can be used to elevate the work. Today on Film Camera Official, for the first time we have a guest. Her name is Olivia.
Hi, I'm Olivia, and I'm a makeup artist, and I'm currently studying at Sheridan, and I'm in my second year.
Olivia is a really talented makeup artist. I have worked with her on a set before as well, and every time we need a makeup artist, we always go to Olivia because she's just that good. So when we need a particular look, we know that we bring Olivia and she's gonna do her best to bring that look out, which is really cool.
Yes, thank you so much.
I'm so happy to have you here on my YouTube channel for the first time.
Yes, thank you for inviting me on. I'm excited to talk about makeup.
Cool, so tell me about yourself. How did you get into makeup?
So, surprisingly, I didn't originally want to be a makeup artist. Not necessarily. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a makeup artist, but then I went to high school and then I was like, well, I can't really be a makeup artist. It's not very sustainable. And in my 12th year in high school, I was about to apply for colleges and I wanted to be a lawyer. So I took all university level classes, like I was prepared to be a lawyer. But then I talked to my parents and they were like, you should do something that you actually like to do. And then I was like, okay. And I only applied to Sheridan. And then I got in, and here I am now. That's
so great, right? You're doing what you love, you're following your passion. And I love the fact that you figured out what you wanted to do from an early age. And right now, you're living it, right? You're living the dream.
Yeah.
So how's it been?
So it's been really, really good. I love to do photography. In this past 2 years, I've really tried to figure out what I really want to do. I've done all forms of makeup. I've done theater, I've done fashion shows, I've done really about everything, and I'm mostly drawn to photography as well as film. So I'm really drawn to those. The course schedule though for Sheridan, it's pretty intense. We have lots of classes, but the teachers are amazing, and it's been an amazing journey.
Great to hear. So even us as photographers, anytime we bring a model into the studio, we never shoot without having a proper makeup artist, because people don't understand that the impact that makeup has on photography is huge, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just applying powder to your face. You actually have the ability to create cuts and create actual characters using your makeup.
Yeah.
So it's so cool. So how do you do that? How do you go about that?
How do I go about creating makeup looks?
Yeah, creating makeup looks. And when you shoot people with different skin textures, for example, how would you reduce that texture? And how do you go approaching a particular model when they come to you for the makeup?
So what I do mostly, I do this for both film and photography, but I want to know more about the character that we're creating here. So I want to know their wardrobe. I want to know lots about them so I can create a makeup look that would really signify who they are as a person. Because obviously, a person that does a usual glam makeup is not going to wear really simple makeup. So we got to really determine if it's simple or if it's more extravagant. How I go about models with different skin textures and skin tones is I know how to find the undertones of the models, and I feel like that's not talked about a lot. So usually in the makeup industry, foundations and concealers, they have pretty much only yellow tones. So us as makeup artists, if we apply a yellow toned foundation to a person with, say, a blue undertone, it's going to look really off, and most people don't really know why it looks off on their skin type until you determine you just literally add the smallest amount of blue, and it will change the makeup completely from something looking sickly to matching their skin tone. How I go about models with different skin textures is there's lots of ways to help the skin texture. Say if they have very dry skin, you use very moisturizing products, and you go and you do more of prep for a model with dry skin. for a model with, say, acne, we color correct a bit, and we make sure not to add loads and loads of foundation, because that will really draw your eye to the acne, because it will kind of attach itself as like a dry spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. So you said you color correct, right? So in photography, we color correct our images as well. We color correct it to change the way the image looks. For example, if you're shooting in a room that's filled with warm tones, for example, we might add some blue tones to neutralize it, because cool and warm colors basically like neutralize themselves, orange and blue. So how do you approach like using color in your makeup, right? Because I see like there are different colors that people use in makeup, especially near the eyes. I've seen many videos. I don't know a lot about it. But do you take color theory into mind when applying the colors for makeup?
Oh, absolutely we do. That's pretty much the main thing that we look for a lot of times, because a model who is completely cool tone, unless we want to convey a story, we're probably going to use cool tone makeup products for their skin, unless we really want to switch it up and use like a warm tone, but most of the times we will use cool tones. And also color theory really comes into play when color correcting. So basically the color wheel, we just take the color wheel, and whatever color it is, say there's a yellow tone that we need to correct, we look to the opposite color on the color wheel. And that's how we go about color correcting. That's really important for things like tattoo covers, because you can't have tattoos without like crediting the person. So we usually, in film mostly, we have to color correct every single tattoo. So because tattoos are a blue, dark blue tone, we will use this like dark orange on the tattoo to color correct, and that's pretty crucial, is color theory to makeup as well.
Say you're creating characters that look unreal, for example. So I worked with a makeup artist before who created this completely like a horror look. Basically, she created a horror look, and we shot a horror themed photo shoot. Now, if you look at the way the makeup was done in that image, you'll see that it looks nothing like a human whatsoever. She has flowers attached to her face. So this type of makeup, like, does that come under makeup artistry, or is that something completely different? Like,
yeah, that does. That is also makeup artistry, and I would say things like that are more like fashion, because you see a lot of that stuff in the fashion realm. Yeah, so that is really makeup artistry. Everyone has their certain style. Some people specialize in creative, extravagant looks like that, where they attach feathers to the model's face or gems. But some people lean more towards a natural makeup look. And some people lean more towards special effects makeup, which involves prosthetics, things like that.
Okay, so who is your inspiration in the makeup artist industry?
I wouldn't say I have an inspiration. I kind of just do whatever I feel that's right. Some people that I do look up to is I love drag makeup. So Elvira, I absolutely love her makeup style that they used on her in the films. I love, one of my favorite drag queens is Violet Chachki. I love Violet Chachki. My certain style though, I have a certain style for me, like I have a signature, most makeup artists do. I kind of do a wing, like a smoked out wing is kind of my signature.
A smoked out wing.
Usually with brown tones.
Nice. So how do people find their style?
How do people find their style? So it's really like a working process. Like, it takes time for people to find their style, because you really have to experiment with everything to find your style. I personally found my style. We have a class where we do eras makeup, so historical makeup, and I just really lean towards the 60s and the 70s. So I would say that's kind of my style, is a 60s or 70s makeup look.
Wait, so how does the look from the 60s and 70s change as time goes on? How did the look basically evolve?
So how it evolves is you pretty much, in historical fashion, makeup styles flip-flop. And what I mean by that is in the 1910s, it was very natural. And then in the 1920s, it was very crazy. People were blocking their brows. The makeup was very extreme. Then in the 1930s, it was very simple. 40s was extreme. 50s, and it just flip-flops pretty much for every decade.
Okay.
So you can see that evolved. So in the 60s, it was pretty intense. Lots of wings. Twiggy was pretty much the 60s. And then in the 70s, it was kind of toned down a little bit, but it was still kind of the same type of vibe. And then 80s was crazy.
Okay.
90s was toned down. Then it just goes on.
How often did you train in your initial stages when you got into it? Because for us photographers, right, the only way we become better at photography is if we go out there and we keep shooting. We go out there, we take our camera and we keep experimenting. We fail a lot of shots, but then we look at the shots and we kind of understand where we went wrong and we improve ourselves. So in the makeup artist industry, how would people become better makeup artists? How would they develop, their own creative vision? Like how much work goes into creating beautiful makeup that looks natural?
So there's a lot of work that goes into it, and I feel like it's very similar to photography, where you just have to keep doing it and see what works for you. And with this program, it's been really great because we explore every type of makeup, and people can really find what they truly like about the makeup, and they can choose what they really want to do. Because a lot of people in my program, they come into it wanting to do the special effects program, which I personally also wanted to do. I wanted to do the special effects program. But after seeing all the different types of makeup, there's not just one mold. I want to do like beauty makeup now instead of special effects because I've fallen back in love with it. So I just feel like, again, it's a lot of like seeing what works, see what you're good at, see what you can improve on, to really create beautiful makeup. I also feel like taking criticism is a very crucial part of it, because if you come into the program or if you start doing makeup and you think my makeup is the best, like it's the best, and you're not willing to change, it's not going to be very good for you.
That's so true. Like people need to be open to getting their work critiqued. Same here in photography. When I first got into this program, I got in here with a lot of experience in the industry prior. So when I was out there shooting images, I always had the sense of pride, like my images are the best, right? Because I have a lot of this prior experience as a professional prior. So that, in a sense, hyping yourself up, it doesn't do you any good. You need to be open to kind of like getting your work trashed by professionals, even though it feels bad, right? You learn from that type of experience. So how does a makeup critique go? How do people in the makeup industry critique your work?
So our teachers mostly, it's mostly like, I wouldn't use that like eyeshadow shapes. If you have a model with like a round face, you probably wouldn't use a rounded eyeshadow technique because you're wanting to change the face shape into an oval face shape.
Okay.
So it's mostly like I wouldn't use a circle on a circle face. So it's really just working with the model's features to best use their features and expand them and make them,
So in photography, we have fashion photography, we have event photography, wedding photography, right? We can get into fine art photography. And then there's even street photography, so we go out on the street and we take pictures. But few of those genres, they're really commercial. Few of those genres are something that we do for fun, something to build our portfolio, to get beautiful images. So let's talk about the business in makeup industry. What are the genres in makeup artistry, if there are any, that aspiring makeup artists could get into to make money in the industry?
So you can make money in pretty much any industry, and there's different industries have different ways of like getting jobs. So a lot of people will go into bridal / freelance makeup, And that's basically, again, working on bridal, party. That's probably a way to get money as a makeup artist. That aspect is a little bit hard, and it takes probably the most time, I would say, because you have to build your clientele, and obviously there are other makeup artists in the area, so you have to compete with already existing makeup artists who have a client base. So it's really working yourself years even to get enough money to sustain yourself as a makeup artist. So a lot of freelance makeup artists have a second job as well, because most of the makeup that they do for freelancing is on the weekends. So they'll just have that part-time job for the week and then do makeup on the weekends. But that one probably takes the longest to get into. For film, there are 2 main unions in Canada that people will apply to, and you apply as a primatee. And as a primatee, it's basically like a makeup artist that they call the day before, and they're like, we need a makeup artist, can you come in, so and so, and you have to have 40 days worth of hours to be an actual member of the union. Yeah. And for photography, there are makeup agencies. There are a couple in Canada that are very highly esteemed. And for that, again, you just apply, but you can also work under people already working for the agencies as like, again, like a daily. They'll call you in the day before and they'll be like, do you want to work on this shoot? I think it's very similar to photography. So you can have multiple portfolios for whatever job you're applying to, but you should probably really only have like 1 or 2 portfolios. Depending on what genre you would like to go into. What I would recommend is keeping it. Don't put so many photos in there that it overwhelms the person. Most of the time you like to keep it like short and simple. And don't include photos that you are worried about. So if you think in your head, I don't really know if I should post this to my portfolio, don't. Because a lot of hiring managers will look at your worst photo to determine how you are as a makeup artist. So it's best to keep photos that you are very confident in.
What do you mean by look at your worst picture?
So they go to like the photo, maybe there's like hair strands that you can like see in the image. Or maybe your lashes falling off. Things like that. They look at like little things like that.
It's attention to detail.
Yes.
Similar in photography, we pay so much attention to the most minute things because on screen that may not look like it's a big deal, but then when you look at it, when you print it out, for example, then it's the first thing your eye goes to when you look at that image. So paying attention to detail, that's really important.
Yes, that is really, really important because these hiring managers, they see photos all the time. So their eyes are very prone to looking at issues with the photo. Like if your skin tone doesn't match, like they will clock that instantly. And you really don't want to include photos that you are kind of worried about.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's best to include in your portfolio models with different skin textures, different skin types, male models, female models. It's just best to include a diversity of people in your portfolio.
So right now you're at Sheridan, right? So you have access to this entire Sheridan community. You have access to all the photography students, the people in film, and use all of them to work with them and grow your portfolio. But say someone wants to be a makeup artist, but they don't have access to all these facilities that Sheridan College offers. How would you advise them to build their portfolio?
So I would advise them to go on like Facebook groups, because Facebook groups are a big crucial part of being a makeup artist. So there are Facebook groups for bridal artists, there are Facebook groups for portfolio work. So I would probably advise use social media as a tool. Social media is such a huge part of like the arts right now that it's best to use it as a tool. Reach out to people, follow photographers, ask if they want to shoot. So it's really just not being scared of conversation. So you really just want to put yourself out there and talk to as many people as you can to network yourself.
So how does one overcome that fear of working on the initial project, for example? So they've taken up the kit, they've always done makeup on their friends, they've done makeup on themselves, but for the first time they're working on a set of people. For the first time they're working with photographers and people in film, and it's the first time they're moving out of their comfort zone of friends and family and going into the actual industry and working on some serious projects like that. Say it's your first project, how could you overcome that fear? How could you do that? And what would you advise to the people who are taking up their first commercial project?
Yeah, so when I did like my first film set, my first photography shoot, I was so scared of like them hating the makeup. Like I was just so scared. But instead of if you dwell in being scared of a project, it will just it will interfere with you. So it's really best to be confident in yourself and throw yourself into that project instead of like being scared about it. You really need to be confident in your abilities, because once you're confident in your abilities and you know your makeup is not bad and you know that you can do it, you just need to throw yourself into that project and put your heart into it, because it's really horrible if you dwell on being scared.
That's so true, especially here for photography. I remember when I went for my first ever wedding, right? I've never shot a wedding before, I didn't have a wedding portfolio. It was a wedding of my family member and they invited me to go and shoot the event, and I was so nervous. I was so nervous because I was the only one there capturing the entire event. There was no secondary photographer. And when it comes to like a wedding, it's really important that you actually nail the shots, because it's one of those events that happens only once in the person's lifetime, hopefully. Hopefully only once, but if you miss some important images, you're never going to get it back. So there's a seriousness when it comes to working on these big events. And that brings an interesting topic, like what are the most serious genres in makeup industry where you just cannot mess it up? You need to lock in and you need to create work that if you mess it up, it's basically gonna create problems.
Yeah, so for me, I would say is bridal. Because in bridal, like, that is their wedding day. Like, again, it only should happen once. So they're heightened in their stress levels. So I feel like that is probably the most crucial. I feel like another one probably would be film. That would be pretty crucial.
So it's going to be watched by millions of people, right?
Yeah, and I feel like in film, what you have to worry about the most is continuity errors, because they film the shots a lot of the time not in order. So you have to make sure of continuity. But overall, I would say bridal is probably the hardest to nail and the most important.
That's awesome. So we spoke a lot about the industry, but let's talk about equipment now, right? So in photography, the type of camera that we use is really important, right? Each camera has a different megapixel count, which changes the number of pixels the image has, so the image can store more data, for example, right? The type of lights we use, do we want a continuous light or strobe? And that's basically how it works in photography, right? Now say someone wants to be a makeup artist. How do they choose their equipment? What do they buy? What do they use? What should a makeup artist have in their kit if they're starting out in the industry?
So definitely sanitary stuff is really important. So you want to make sure that you have the proper sanitary equipment. You also want to make sure there's some things that are like pretty much like banned in makeup artists. Things like liquid eyeliner, because you have to like go in there with the same brush, which obviously like we don't want to do that because it's unsanitary. You definitely want to have some disposables, so that's like disposable mascara wands, Q-tips. You want to have makeup remover, And what I think is really important is you can buy these like palettes off Amazon and you can put multiple eyeshadows in it, and then there's a way that you can like flip it and put more in it.
Okay.
So that is really good for makeup artists because you don't want to be tugging around like 3 big palettes. You just want to bring around like 1 palette with all the eyeshadows in it.
Got it.
Yeah, so I feel like essentials are definitely sanitary stuff because that is really important.
So, how does a makeup artist interact with the people in their team? For example, for me as a photographer, there are like ways I should interact with the model that I'm shooting to make them feel comfortable, to make them feel safe, especially when shooting on the set. If they're shooting for the first time, how do I pose a model in a way that doesn't make them feel uncomfortable, right? There's a lot of stuff that we have to think because in our industry, we basically work with other people, so their like safety and their satisfaction is something that we need to keep in mind, right? So what are the ethics that a makeup artist should follow when they're getting into the industry for the first time?
Yeah, so what I personally do is I always ask them what they're comfortable with. I always ask them, can I touch you? Can I do this? Can I do that? I always make sure before I do a certain thing that they're comfortable with it. Another thing that I do to help models feel comfortable is I have a mirror, and after every step I show them the mirror. I'm like, what do you feel about this? And I feel like that's really essential in like freelancing because a lot of people wear their makeup in a certain way and they're not used to seeing their face look different. So you really want to talk to the model beforehand about things like, how do you wear your makeup normally? Do you wear this? Do you wear a heavy foundation? Because a model that has never worn foundation is not going to be comfortable with an extreme matte foundation because they've never seen their skin look like that.
Okay.
Again, with like eyeshadow. A person that doesn't wear eyeshadow, they're probably going to be shocked when they see a full, colorful glam look with sparkles. So what we want to do is make sure that the model is comfortable with every makeup application that we're doing. So after every step, foundation, we're going to show them, are you comfortable with this? Is there anything we should change? Because it's best to find things that we want to change before the makeup is completely done and we can't change it. So we don't want to wait to the very last moment to say, does this foundation look good on your skin type? We don't want to do that. We want to make sure that if they feel like it's too matte or if it's too glowy, we catch it immediately and we can switch it instantly instead of taking off all the makeup at the end. So that's a pretty important part of being a makeup artist.
So in photography, the way that we light the subject, it changes the entire shape of the subject's face. For example, broad lighting, it makes the face look broad, right? And short lighting, it kind of like reduces the size of the face, right? So if we use butterfly lighting, for example, that's the lighting where you get a shadow of a butterfly under the model's nose. That's considered beauty light. And then if we use hard light, that's considered, a bad light, but it's also the light that brings out textures and brings that more like violent, rough look, right? Do you like take the lighting and do you take the characters' characteristics into mind when choosing the makeup the same way we consider these aspects when lighting up the subject?
Yeah, we definitely take that into account. It's pretty crucial. So an example is someone with not a lot of lid space. We're not going to bring the eyeshadow to their eyebrows because it's going to look off. Or someone with a round face shape. Usually we are trying to get them to an oval face shape through like contouring or bronzer, but that's not always the case. Sometimes if we want the model to look like rounder or maybe her features are softer, we'll use softer techniques to make her face shape look a certain way. That also comes into play when doing male models. So we work with all the features of the model because we don't want it to look off on the model. So yeah.
Okay, so Olivia, do you have a kit with you right now that you can show our viewers and explain the different type of tools that you have in your kit?
Yeah, I definitely do, and I can definitely show you right now.
Cool.
So this is my makeup kit, and it is about 40 pounds. It is super, super heavy. So on my kit, it is rolling kit. So it has this. It also has a handle for going downstairs. This one specifically is a NYX professional makeup, and for makeup artists just starting out, I will recommend you go on Facebook Marketplace and look for a kit because these go for $300. It is super expensive. So when you're just starting out, try and look on Facebook Marketplace to see what you can find. So it opens up like this. And then it has my brushes right here, and they're all organized by different features that they have. So the brushes are all organized by different sizes and what they do. These are bigger ones, these are detail brushes, and these are fluffy brushes for blending. And if we go into the kit, this is absolutely essential for every makeup artist. It's this metal palette, and that's what you use for like creams and stuff. So like lipstick you would put on there, pretty much everything you would put on there instead of like eyeshadow. Some essential things we have is 70% isopropyl alcohol to disinfect powders like eyeshadows. We have some moisturizer. And here we also have my Ben Nye Conceal Adjuster Palette. So this one is just like cream concealers and adjusters. You probably want to also have like a cape for your model, especially in photography. If they're already in their costume, you don't want to get foundation all over their costume. What else do we have in there? I have hair clips. So this is important, but in film, it's different because in film, there are specific hairstylists, and you do not touch their hair in film. You do not touch it. You ask the hairstylist, can you move their hair out of the way? Yeah, but things in film and, things like photography, you're probably doing both hair and makeup. And things like photography, but also sometimes in bridal. A lot of the times makeup artists are encouraged to also know hair, because in the industry, a lot of makeup artists are required to do hair. So it's best to know hair as well. So this opens like this. So this is like my favorite part of my kit because they have pull-out drawers. So this is where I would put my mirrors and also like Tic Tacs and stuff, so my breath doesn't smell. Right here we have our disposables, which is really essential. All makeup artists need to have disposables. Then in this little like lunch bag, again, you don't have to spend a lot of money to build your kit and to organize your kit. You can just go to the dollar store and get lunch bags. That's what I do. And in this we have our big palette. So in this big palette it has eyeshadows, but it also, I talked about this before, but it also has like bronzers. And then in the bottom we have our lipsticks. And to get the lipsticks we just scoop it out with a metal spoolie. Here is mine right here. It's like a metal spoolie. Yeah, and then this is usually where I keep all my palettes, so they're all in one place. So in the pull-out drawers, we have foundations in here, foundations and adjusters. In our other drawer, we have lashes. So in this other drawer, we have lots of our eye and lip products. So we have things like mascara in here. We have an eyeliner pencil. we have eyeliner, but we also have our lip liners in here, and that's pretty much what's only in here. I like to sort it by parts of the face a lot of the time, but yeah, that is a brief synopsis of what I keep in my kit.
Well, Olivia, thank you so much for being here on my channel and sharing to my viewers everything you know about makeup. It was really, really valuable. I learned so much myself listening to this, and I know that any makeup artists out there who want to get into the industry will surely be inspired by the work that you do. Follow Olivia on Instagram, by the way. What's your Instagram?
Yes, follow me at looks_by_liv with 2 V's. Follow me there. Instagram is my main.
It's been an honor having you here, the first guest on our YouTube channel, and many more amazing videos to come. We have many more interesting people that we're going to be having here on the channel. So if you want to listen to that, then like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in
The next video.
Boom. Oh, that was so cool. Nice.